Their silence following was not one of perplexity, but of thick, heavy shock, the type that settles in your bones when you know something has actually ended. Not a tantrum, not a bluff, just a door closing permanently. They assumed I'd back out, be dramatic for a time, sulk a little, and then move on as usual. This time, however, was different since it was the final hit, not the first. The final period in a lengthy, humiliating sentence in which I was never considered a son, but rather a resource, a human ATM with a face they could easily disregard. I'm 28, and I reside in a modest apartment on Denver's southwest side. I provide IT support for a healthcare software company. It's not flashy, but it's consistent, and I truly believed we'd finally reached an agreement, that the hardest years were behind us, and that, just maybe, I'd done enough to earn a spot in the room. But they didn't want proof. They wanted silence and thanks for allowing me to be near something they still considered family. The main shock was not the message itself, but how many people ignored it. My aunt reacted with the heart emoji. My sister responded with a cake. My father sent out a meme of a clown with the phrase, "Guess who's turning 12 again?" No one inquired how I was. No one said, "Happy birthday." I sat in the dark with my phone in my hand, and the funniest part was that I wasn't wounded. I was just astounded at how long I'd let it go on. I've been paying their rent since I was 24. Not because I'm wealthy or because they asked politely, but because they made it seem like I had to. It's only transitory. You are the only one who is stable right now. We've given you everything. Now it's your time. That brief period lasted 4 years. Rent, groceries, gas, Wi-Fi and maintenance come due on a monthly basis. I paid for everything, including their cat's vet bill. I didn't want to spoil them, but if I didn't, I'd feel obligated to do it later. Then followed the texts, which were passive-aggressive reminders in the group chat. The power is ready to be switched off again. Mom's back hurts, and we're not sure how we're expected to move without aid. Emily's car broke down, and she urgently wants to get to work. Can you find her? The last one, Emily's automobile, I paid for. She still drives it and posts selfies in it, one of which has the message, "Thankful for people who truly support me," with a black heart emoji. Did not even tag me. Emily, by the way, is my younger sister. She's 25, unemployed, and seemingly always on vacation. My parents claim she's still finding her way. She has been making her way through my bank account for years. I once questioned Dad why Emily never contributed to the home. He stated, "She's not like you, she's not built for pressure, you are." That one stuck because they made sure I was constructed for pressure. But even pressure cracks. Last Thanksgiving, I drove 5 hours to surprise them. I bought champagne, groceries and pie. I knocked, anticipating, perhaps, a grin. Mom opened the door and blinked. "Oh, you came," then called over her shoulder, "Emily, tell Josh to hide the gifts. Your brother's here." I questioned, "Who's Josh?" She chuckled, "Emily's boyfriend. They've been staying here for a bit." Josh had my former room. I slept on the sofa. Dad made a toast that night at dinner. He lifted his glass and remarked, "Let's hear it for the man who pays the bills but can't hold down a girlfriend." Everyone laughed, especially Emily. I didn't say anything. I just sipped my wine, helped clear the dishes, and paid the plumbing bill when the sink clogged. Because that's what family does, right? A few weeks later, Emily posted a selfie with Josh in front of a cabin in the mountains with the caption, "Family trip." I was not invited. I had no idea they'd gone. I discovered it when a co-worker, who was not even close friends with me, asked, "Hey, wasn't that your sister on the Explore page? Looks like a fun vacation." I looked at the photo. Mom, Dad, Emily, and Josh were smiling, wearing matching beanies and clutching mugs. I focused on the mug Emily was holding. It had a bespoke print. "Best daughter ever." They did not even send me a text when they were there. The week they returned, I received an email from my landlord reminding me that rent was due tomorrow. They'd failed to note that they missed last month's transfer. They just expected I'd figure it out and pay it, as usual. I did. I paid it because I was full, but I was not about to forget it. It became worse. One day, while working remotely from home, I noticed my phone vibrating constantly. The family group chat was going off. At first I assumed someone had perished. Nope. Dad had sent a screenshot of my Amazon wish list with the caption, "Look at this grown man asking for socks and shampoo for his birthday lol. Guess we didn't raise him tough enough. Can't even buy his own lotion." Cousin Ashley replied, "Uncle Mark," and sent a photo of toilet paper with the caption, "Here you go, champ." Emily added, "He probably expects us to gift wrap this too." I gazed at the screen, not because it hurt, but because it was so predictable. Because they stopped trying to hide it. They simply figured I would never fight back. So, I didn't. Not yet. But I began gathering screenshots, chats, and emails as proof of everything. The rent, the bills, the times they lied, and how they used my name on applications. Even when I discovered by accident that my mother manipulated my credit score to sign up for a Target card. When I asked her why, she answered, "It's not a big deal. You weren't using it." I told her that was unlawful, and she shouted, "Don't threaten me, Mr. It Man. You'd be nothing without this family." The following week I discovered Emily had told her pals that I was on the spectrum. Not true, yet convincing enough to spread. She thought it helped me explain more clearly. And still, I remained silent. I paid, worked, and smiled. But I was silently developing something and they had no idea. Because when you build quietly, your explosion becomes their earthquake. It happened again on my birthday, 2 weeks after the group chat humiliation, the cabin trip that they did not ask me to, and the rent default. They had the nerve to phone me. Emily texted first, "Hey, mom says to come by tonight, family dinner." I left her to read. 10 minutes later my father called, "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're trying to move forward." They always referred to it as moving forward when I was encouraged to forget they had injured me. This time, I answered yes. But I didn't arrive alone. I arrived at their house, the same one I helped repaint, and the one with the fridge I purchased, right on time. I strolled in with a duffel bag and a backup drive in my pocket. Mom hugged me as if nothing happened. Dad gave me a beer. Emily smirked, as if she had already won. I sat and listened. They discussed healing, forgiveness, and how I had acted out by canceling my rent and credit cards. Then Mom delivered the words that finally shattered everything. "You're still a part of this family, but you've made mistakes too." I took a long breath before reaching inside my backpack, taking out my laptop, and opening a folder on the table. It was titled, "Truth." Dad snorted, "What's this, homework?" I didn't reply. I hit play. The first audio clip features my mother's voice from a voicemail she left last year, shouting at me to grow up and pay your sister's tuition before she ends up like you. Second clip. Emily's voice on speaker. "He's always been weird. Just let him pay for things. It makes him feel useful." Then came the files. Screenshots of credit transfers, bills, group chats, and Emily's Instagram stories where she boasted about wasting my money. I flipped the screen towards them. They leaned in and froze. I stood up, walked into the kitchen, and returned with a USB stick. I plugged it into their smart television. The screen went blank before displaying a screenshot of a loan application. Dad is the principal borrower. My name, co-signer, but without my signature. I looked at him directly. "You used my social media without telling me. You put me on the line for your debt." He opened his mouth. I raised my hand. "It's already reported. They've frozen your account pending fraud review. You'll be getting the letter next week." Mom gave a gasp. Emily began giggling. "Wow, you're so dramatic. What's next? You're going to sue us?" I smiled. "No, but he is." That was when the doorbell rang. I stepped over, opened the door, and let Jake in. Emily's ex-boyfriend, the one she lied about, the one she accused of assaulting her, and the one she almost destroyed. Jake entered with a black folder in his hand and sat across from her. "You want to tell them or should I?" Emily turned pale. "Why are you here?" He opened the folder. Inside, printed copies of bogus texts she created to frame him, a photo of her notes on how to emotionally destabilize him prior to the split, and a transcript of her voice recordings modified to sound like him yelling. My mother started to cry. Dad stared at the wall. Emily stepped up and said, "You two are insane. This is harassment." Jake shut her off. "You're not the victim, you're the villain, and I'm done pretending." He walked out. I followed him, then turned around and said the final words I'd ever say in that house. You wanted me to play the role of the good son, the quiet wallet. But now I'm the one writing the script. Then I left the house with my laptop and drove. The shouting began, with Mom screaming Emily's name, Dad demanding that I return and fix this, and Emily throwing something, possibly a glass. I didn't glance back because when you finally detonate the truth, you don't want to see the ashes. The following morning, I uploaded everything. Not simply screenshots and voice messages. I uploaded the entire archive, a single post titled, When Family Treats You Like an ATM with a Heartbeat. Inside the link, every bank transfer, the illegal loan in my name, Emily's fake messages, edited audio, breakup plans, Mom's voicemail begging me to man up and pay her daughter's tuition, and Dad's Thanksgiving joke about me not having a girlfriend, but still keeping the lights on. I did not write a sob story. I didn't beg for pity. I wrote facts, I wrote receipts, and I typed one last line. I'm not angry or upset. I'm simply done pretending this is what family looks like. Then I pushed the post button and shut off my phone. By lunchtime, the post had gone viral. Not massively viral or celebrity level, but big enough to burn. Thousands of shares and hundreds of comments. A few were from total strangers. This is exactly what I went through. My brother did the same. You're not alone. This level of evidence is insane. Go off, King. Others were from mutual acquaintances, folks who knew my family. I did not respond to one of my high school classmates who commented, I always knew something was off about your sister. This confirms it. I let the post have its own life. By 3 p.m., my aunt, who had answered to Mom's birthday insult with a heart emoji, had posted her own status. Air your laundry in private. Family doesn't belong on the internet. It received no likes. Emily shared a black square on Instagram with the message, Betrayal hits hardest from the people you once fed. I almost smiled. Then Dad went live on Facebook. Yes, live. He sat in his garage, the same one I helped him replace the roof on, and spoke into his phone in a weak voice. My son's been manipulated. He's mentally fragile. He doesn't know what he's saying. Behind him, a stack of beer cans. He went on to add that he forgives me, that families make errors, and that he wishes we could mend. In the comments, his old golf pal responded, Didn't you say you forged his signature once? Dad enjoyed it. And it was his biggest error, because I had video proof to the contrary. A recording from 3 years ago shows Dad sitting on the couch with a beer in his hand, telling Emily, It's fine, I used his social skills. He won't notice. And even if he does, he owes us. He wouldn't be alive without us. I posted it as a reply with no caption, just the date. I then logged off again. Behind the scenes, I wasn't simply watching them squirm. I was building. I started a YouTube channel the same week. Initially, I only made one video. A straight-to-camera piece titled, When Helping Becomes Enabling. There were no names or charges, just my calm but cutting voice. You can love someone but still walk away. You can help people while remaining useful. When they finally reveal what they truly think of you, believe them. It received 400,000 views in 3 days. I was invited to talk on a podcast for adult children from narcissistic homes. I said yes. Then a second podcast messaged me, followed by a third, and finally a publisher. I wasn't after clout. I wasn't attempting to establish a brand. However, the truth was that many were desperate to hear someone utter aloud what they were too afraid to whisper. My mother tried one final time. She sent me a photograph and a letter from the mortgage firm. The rent had been defaulted. The house was being reviewed. Her message read, I hope you're proud of yourself. They might take our home. I didn't respond. Instead, I answered with a screenshot of her name associated with every dollar I'd provided them over the prior 3 years, more than $84,000, and the caption, You took it, not me. She left me to read. 3 hours later, I received an SMS from an unknown number. It was Emily. I hope you never have kids. You'd be a terrible father. I smiled. It was not hilarious but rather depressing. They tried everything. Fury, guilt, threats, anything but accountability. But none of it worked. The best part? I moved quietly. No posts, no forwarding addresses. Downtown condo, 10th story. Purchased under a different name through a legal trust, and fully paid off. New view, new number, and new silence. They tried to call. They tried to contact me through my family. Did not work. Because I was finished. Not only with their games, but with the entire concept of owing them anything. No money, no time, and no response. A month later, I changed my phone number. I wasn't terrified. I was bored. Tired of the guilt-soaked voicemails, Emily's cryptic Instagram posts about selfish siblings, and Dad's intoxicated letters that began with, "You don't know how hard it was for me," and finished with, "Let's profit off this mess." They weren't reaching out to apologize. They were attempting to regain the narrative, but I had already bled it dry and buried it. They simply hadn't observed the funeral. I didn't just vanish, I improved. I moved into a condo on the 10th floor that was modern, clean and frigid in exactly the manner I desired. A house with high ceilings and calm neighbors who don't ask questions. There were no family portraits, no group photos on the fridge, and no spare key under the mat for just in case. I didn't tell anyone where I lived, not even my closest friends, since I didn't want to share this aspect of my life, the serenity, silence, and fullness. It was something I deserved. I furnished gradually. One chair, one table, and one piece at a time. There is no debt, no urgency, and no need for permission. I recall standing in the middle of my new living room the first night, barefoot on a cold tile, clutching a mug of coffee brewed with my kitchen machine, and understanding that no one was going to yell. Nobody is going to shame me for not doing enough. This month, no one will ask for money, rides, or even a little aid. There would be no group conversations, no fabricated birthdays, and no memes about me shared behind my back. Just silence. Beautiful, deserved stillness. I began working full-time for myself. The firm had been a side endeavor for years, quiet, cautious, and hidden, but after I blew everything up, it became a beacon. Understood Consulting is called after the single phrase I sent my mother on my birthday. I created the website in one night, developed the logo myself, obtained the domain, and registered the brand. It was not about making a statement. It was about never again seeking permission to exist. Now, I help others escape the same cage in which I grew up. I speak, coach, listen, and remain private because my life is not a reality show that my family can watch and manipulate. They don't get to hijack the redemption arc. It's a fortress with sealed gates and motion sensors, and I'm sleeping better than I ever have. 3 weeks after moving, I got a manila envelope at my P.O. box. Inside, Mom's handwritten message in slanted handwriting, floral stationery, and crimson ink. It began with, "You used to be our sweet boy. I don't know who this bitter man is. We made mistakes, but airing them like that. You humiliated us. You ruined us. Maybe one day you'll realize how hard it was for us. Maybe one day you'll grow up." The final line was, "I'm praying for you." I didn't cry, however. I did not get angry.